Before getting into the video, I want to be really clear. This isn't a rant. I'm not here to bash the Germany map or the people making it. Quite the opposite. It looks incredible. The terrain detail, the Cold War atmosphere, the airbase layouts, it's all shaping up to be top tier. And I genuinely hope it becomes a hit for those that are ready to dive in on day one. This video is just me sharing where my head's been at lately when it comes to DCS World maps. I've been flying in DCS for a long time. I've bought every map that's come out since, but I've started noticing something. Most of them just sit there. Not because they are bad, not at all, but because they don't get adopted by a lot of the multiplayer servers that are public. And for someone like me who lives and breathes PvP and PvE multiplayer, that makes a huge difference. If you're into single-player campaigns, fly with a close-knit squadron, or just want to own every map because you're all in on DCS, I totally get it. More power to you. But lately, I've started asking myself, am I actually going to fly on this map? Or is it just going to become another icon in the main menu? A beautiful, detailed region that I explore for an hour and never click again? That's the hesitation, not because the content is bad, but because I've been burned before by excitement that turned into silence. And I want to break that cycle. Today I want to talk about something I think a lot of us feel, even if we don't always say it out loud. I'm calling it map fatigue. Not in the sense that we don't appreciate new terrain. I love flying in new areas, but I've just hit this point where each map feels less exciting and more like, okay, but will I even use this? It's not burnout from DCS itself. It's more like decision fatigue. Another huge map gets announced, the screenshots drop, and instead of getting hyped like I used to, I get this weird sense of hesitation. So let's unpack that hesitation. The Germany map, it looks incredible. We're talking Cold War era Europe, forests, iconic air bases, historical hot zones. It's right in the sweet spot we've been asking for. Ugra Media is building it, and they've been already crushing it with the Syria and Normandy 2.0 map. So quality, I'm not even worried about that. Part of me wants to go all in, fly future tornadoes over the Fulda Gap, F4s, MiG-21s, Harriers, all the Cold War goodness. But another part of me is like, you've been here before. I've bought maps the day they've dropped, got hyped, explored for maybe an hour or two, and then they just didn't stick in multiplayer. That's the cycle I'm trying to break. Not because I'm down on the Germany map, but because I'm trying to be smarter about where I put my sim time and my money. It's an investment in the end. I'll give you a personal example. Last year, I bought Kola, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Sinai. Kola looked like an awesome Cold War Arctic vibe. Fjords, forests, snow, naval missions, I was totally in. Afghanistan, I was excited for the Soviet-Afghan style missions. The rugged terrain, the history, it checked all of those boxes. Iraq, that one hit different. I'll get to that in a second. Sinai, honestly, I just didn't want to miss out. Everyone was buzzing about it, and I didn't want to miss out. At the time, I was pumped, supporting the devs, building out my map library, thinking, man, this is gonna be great. But fast forward, I barely even touched them. A few initial flights, maybe a little sightseeing or test missions, and that's it. They don't get used because the servers I fly on don't host them, and the guys I fly with, well, they didn't pick them up either. And that's not the fault on anyone but myself. So what happens? I end up back on the Syria, Persian Gulf, or Caucuses map where the server population is more adequate. It's like planning a trip to an amazing city, but none of your friends are going, so you take a few pictures and then you're heading back home. Of all the maps, Iraq was one of the most emotionally invested I was in. I spent over a year in Iraq as a civilian firefighter at Taji and Baghdad International Airport. So when I saw Iraq was coming to DCS, I didn't hesitate for a second. I bought it right away. And the first time I loaded it up, it was surreal. Flying over Baghdad, seeing those terrain features from the air, trying to pick out familiar spots. That really hit me. It was personal. I asked a few of my close buddies to fly on the Iraq map after it released, but none of them had bought the map. It just didn't catch on with the people I fly with on the servers we usually use. So even with this map, with all the emotional weight, it ended up getting unused. So this one personally stung, and it really locked in that feeling. It doesn't matter how much I love a map if no one's really flying on it. This is where the fatigue really kicks in. Map overload with a fragmented player base. Every time a new map drops, the DCS community splits just a little bit more. Not everyone buys it, and if you don't own it, you can't join any server that uses it. That's just how it is. So multiplayer becomes this numbers game. Everyone gravitates towards the most common denominator: Syria, Caucuses, and maybe even the Persian Gulf map. The rest, well, they're kind of like ghost towns. I've seen it happen over and over. A map drops, it gets a lot of buzz. A few servers try it, but then the player count drops and everyone moves back to the usual staples. I've watched servers running Sinai with 5 people online, while Syria is packed. It's not that people don't like the new maps, it's that most of us don't want to fly alone, and servers don't want to risk losing players. So here I am with 6 beautiful maps, flying on maybe 1 or 2 of them. So let's talk about the green map hype, because that's a big part of why Germany is so appealing right now. We've been flying over desert for years. The Syria map, Persian Gulf map, Sinai, they're all fantastic, but they're mostly all sand and rocks. So anytime a lush green map gets announced, it feels like a breath of fresh air. That's part of what sold me on Cola. Same thing with Marianas and the South Atlantic map. I was like, finally, something green, something different. And I wasn't alone. The community gets hyped about it every time. But here's the thing, just because it's green doesn't mean people are going to fly on it. Cola, barely any servers. Marianas, gorgeous, but it's empty. And you know what? It's free. South Atlantic, same deal. After the first wave of excitement, people drift back to where the action is. So yeah, I love the idea of green maps, but I've also learned that green doesn't guarantee it means it's going to be used. So let's talk about map size, because it's getting wild. These new maps, they're huge. We're talking over 100 gigabytes of installs. Cola clocks in at over 160 gigabytes once you've added the winter textures. And according to the FAQ for Germany, it's expected to hit a whopping 205 gigabytes when it's finished. That's impressive, no doubt, but it also raises the question, are we really using all that space? In a lot of cases, missions and servers tend to focus action in certain hotspots. You'll fly entire campaigns or PvP sorties and realize you haven't even touched huge chunks of the terrain. But that's not always the case. Some servers, especially dynamic ones, make great use of the full map, unlocking new areas as objectives are completed, pushing the front lines forward. So it's not that the rest of the map goes unused, it's just that not every server taps into the full potential of the map. Still, the storage load is real. I've had to upgrade my SSD just to keep up with the growing map library. If Eagle Dynamics continues releasing 2 or 3 of these massive terrains each year, it's going to be a serious consideration, especially for folks with limited storage space. So yeah, big maps can be great, but they come with some trade-offs, both in how they're used and how much space they actually take up. The map that really drove this home for me was the South Atlantic map. I was all in. Falklands conflict, rugged terrain, a playground for Harriers and Mirages. Yes, please. And for a week, it was amazing. I flew around, explored everything, and soaked it all up. But then, absolutely nothing. No one in my group stuck with it. Public servers didn't even pick it up. It just kind of faded. It was a beautiful map that no one was flying on. And that was my wake-up call. Just because I'm excited for a map doesn't mean the multiplayer community will be. Now, despite all of that, I'm still hopeful for Germany. Why? Because it hits a sweet spot. It's not some obscure region. It's Central Europe during the Cold War. A ton of modules fit that era that are inside of DCS at this time, and a lot of players have been asking for this one. Servers like Heatblur, Grey Flag, and Contention's Cold War, they'll probably adopt it. And if they do, that gives a real shot at it sticking, but also it takes many months to make a great campaign like these servers have. Ugra Media is making it. They nailed the Syria and Normandy 2.0 map. I trust them to make something solid. And personally, I just want to fly over the Fulda Gap in an F4, drop flares, and pretend the Cold War just got hot. So yes, I am cautiously optimistic. So where does this leave me? I'm not saying don't buy any of these maps. I'm not even saying that Germany is doomed. I'm just saying after everything I've experienced with these past maps, I'm trying to be more mindful. Map fatigue is real. You feel hyped, you buy it, and then you don't use it. That loop has been adding up for me for years. But Germany, I'm watching this one. If my usual servers pick it up, I'm all in. If the community rallies around it, even better. And if it doesn't, well, I'll wait until I know it will get used, or grab it during a sale. Either way, I'm not out of love with DCS. I'm just trying to fly smarter and choose better investments inside of DCS World. Alright, that's enough from me. Now I want to hear from you. Are you feeling map fatigue as well? Are you hyped for the Germany map? Or are you sitting this one out? Do you have maps that you never touch? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. The more we share, the better we can help shape where this sim goes next. Thanks for hanging out and listening. If this resonated with you, drop a like, share it with your friends, and as always, I'll see you in the skies.